Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here. Today's adventure takes us about 30 miles north, give or take, from the hustle and bustle of city life of Los Angeles into the desert and the mountainous regions. Just heading over the hill just a bit to show you a little bit of could be forgotten, or maybe even some of you might not know about this history tucked away right over there. I'm inviting you to join me. Shall you? This will also be my first time visiting this spot, so we're going to experience it together. Let's learn some stuff here in Placerita Canyon Park. Also down this road is a studio backlot known as Disney's Golden Oak Ranch. It is off limits to the general public, but you can see some of the vehicles down there. Now keep that name in mind, because it's very similar to where we're heading. In fact, it's on the back side of this property. It's pretty neat looking downward in there. You can see some of the facades that are built where they're constantly filming TV shows and movies. You can see why they chose this location, looking at the roof line of that fake home, because the mountains in the background provide some pretty good ambiance. The fire danger today is pointing at high, kind of right in the middle, just above moderate and below very high. Nonetheless, still got to be very careful. I'm sure that's a major concern constantly on whoever's watching over all those sets. You can see the barbed wire kind of mixed into the foliage down there. Off limits. If you had a good baseball arm, you would just be a stone's throw to those buildings. Here at the natural area that is run by the Department of Parks and Recreation. This is accessible to anyone willing to visit. Gates are wide open between sunrise and sunset, of course. All features are protected, and some just so happen to be historical landmarks. This is the Walker cabin. The family raised 12 kids. That's not counting the parents. They had a bigger residence on the other side of the waterway, but when it would flood, they'd all have to cram into here. Built in 1920. It's been restored and still sitting out here. I didn't know much about this till I saw this information here. It states that they were able to supplement their income by allowing their home and land to serve as sets like the old Western hard ombre, which is where the porch and shingled roof came from. They were added for productions. Originally it had a tar topping. Front door is locked, but I'm peeking through the spiderweb-induced window just to give you a side view into the homestead. Cobwebs everywhere. It's being attacked. It's being attacked by cobs. Down in this pond, there are some tadpoles swimming around there in the water. You have to look really closely. Little fishies down in there. Teeny tiny. See them? This tree trunk was a seedling back in 1826. There are color coordinated dots along the pattern just to symbolize and to give the date stamps. The green one was when California got its statehood in 1850. And then moving up along, you'll see a light blue. The yellow one is when Disneyland opened in '55. And the red one is the nature center I'm now standing at. That's when that officially opened. Wandering along the Franken Mcdaniel Botany Trail, which was dedicated in 2001. A pathway surrounded by rocks leading through some plant life. I'm looking for the wild cucumbers in this little patch here, but I'm not really seeing any that have come to fruition yet. Off to the right, some white sage. They've covered it with this netting to protect it. Garden gnome and a little waterfall bubbling up here. If you think that cabin was humble accommodations, this is made out of willow branches and reeds. The Native Americans who lived in this area were called Tataviam, which means people who face the sun. Bunch of different paths you can take. You do a little hiking if you so choose. Dried up riverbed right over there with a small bridge. One could get lost out here if you so choose, or even by accident. At times this bridge goes over a waterway, but by looking at it you can definitely see where the fire danger comes into place. Very dry. Let me rephrase that as you glance up slightly as this sunburst ekes its way through the branches. That was a stream. This is the river. Some slight gust of wind out here as well. I'm not complaining, it feels good. Nice and breezy. A few of the trails are blocked off, either for safety or for one reason or another. Up until the 1940s, the oil industry was very prevalent here in the canyon. Here is a relic of those days sitting next to this piece of paved pathway, which leads to what I came out here to see. Everything else I just stumbled upon. To get there, to make your way through this little tunnel, equipped with some pretty fantastic murals. And very echoey. Hello! Artistic representation of the river I'm walking parallel to, and there's those mountains off in the distance. Hello! That's pretty cool. And most importantly painted here on the wall is Francisco Lopez, who at the age of 40 took a little snooze under those branches, and when he awoke pulled up some plants, and on the tips of the bottoms of them was gold. The first in this neck of the woods. Mural was dedicated in May of 1976 for posterity to preserve a little bit of history of not only what happened, but also that very bizarre shaped tree. And there it is in all its glory. It still exists, surrounded by this wooden barricade. Don't want you to get too close, but you can just take a peek. You can take a gander. On March 9th, 1842, while napping under a great oak tree, he dreamt that he was surrounded by gold and was very rich. Upon awakening, he picked a bunch of wild onions growing around some sycamore trees just north of the oak. Attached to the onion roots were several small pieces of gold. What are you doing? You trying to catch some Z's down there as well? I see you hiding. Getting some shut-eye, 40 winks? You get a lot of tourists out here? A lot of passerbyers stopping to see the history. Is that a yes or a no? I don't understand what you're saying. All right, I'll leave you be. I'll leave you be. Notice how it's located right here at the exit of that tunnel. The spot that's honored is where he took his nap, not the precise location of where he found the onions with the gold. If I read that plaque accordingly, it's a little bit north, so just to the left of where I'm standing. Or in other words, behind it, into this open field, somewhere amongst this grass. Once the word hit the street People showed up in droves. This whole area was excavated, and lots of that precious metal was found. Campfires were set up, pickaxes and other tools of the trade were being used. Even a little panning was taking place right here in this waterbed. Once they got their fortune, you guys could buy a waterbed. Except those don't come around for a few more years. See them up there chiseling and chipping away, riding their horses and setting up tents. The fascinating thing is Lopez's find predated James Marshall's strike at Sutter's Mill by 6 years. Also keep in mind, this was 8 years before California got its statehood. Jed Clampett hadn't even thought about moving to Beverly Hills yet. And people were out here just rooting around. I can see why they don't want anyone traversing through or climbing around on. Not too structurally sound. Very unique looking, but you can see directly through the core of it. We want this thing around for years to come to protect it. This is where Lopez laid his head. Maybe on that rock there. That could have been his pillow. It's very picturesque. Love all the sounds, all the ambiance. And just shy of is the property line and double barbed wire of Golden Oak Ranch. See the connection of the two names? The Disney facility backlot is right over there. Decent amount of no trespassing signs, just in case anyone was wondering if they were allowed to cross or not. None shall pass. This might not be the best idea. Just teetering here. Whoa, whoa. Oh my God. Was gonna get an up close personal view of that signage, but the more I think about it, this works too. Incredibly close in proximity. Golden Oak Ranch versus the oak of the Golden Dream. It's super close. And that's not something I made up. That's its official name. That's what it's designated as. Directly below it is a molded, melted version of itself. It also has that very unique shape on the trunk there. I hear cheering. Someone must have struck gold. That's going to do it for today. If you're new here, please subscribe. By doing so, helps keep you in the loop and up to date on future adventures in my life, as well as uploads here on this channel. Take it a step further. Ring that notification bell, and if you enjoyed this particular episode, give it a big thumbs up. It lets me know you can't. What the heck? They might be cheering, but I'm taking this as a warning. Poison oak? That's not good. At least they designated where it was. I'll see you in the next video. The vlog is over.